Hello and welcome to South Bay Sports Radio. Here's your host, Nick Ingram.
I'm joined once again by Leuzinger head football coach Jason Miller. Coach, thank you again for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. So big win over Inglewood last week. I know our colleague Damian Calhoun was there for the Daily Breeze, but what did you see out of your squad that you've been waiting to see, especially against a team like Inglewood?
That's a good question, and it's something that we've been really intentional about is closing out games. So last year we lost 3 games. In all 3 games we had fourth quarter leads. So we knew that if we got a lead on Inglewood, that they have a lot of heart, and they're a never say die team, and we'd have to be able to hold them. So we challenged our kids. I've challenged the coaches to be better on our 4-minute drill this year. And, we got the opportunity. We went up by 17 points, then things didn't go our way on a couple of things. So we were up only by 3, and then we were able to, close out the game. So, for us, it was just about learning how to close out games and being better than we previously been.
You had some big performances, and I know one of the things that I saw was the offensive stats. But let's talk about the defense. We know Inglewood is talented and athletic, but who on your defense stepped up to make the plays when you needed them?
Yeah, Inglewood's so good offensively, where they can score from any place on the field. We were really satisfied with the play of Braylon Spencer, our middle linebacker. He's charged with blitzing and really shutting down the middle. He just did a great job in there. CJ Tuimauga, one of our defensive linemen, did a really good job in the middle. So we really rendered Inglewood's run game, pretty useless. We really rendered them, we really stopped their run. They went to a quarterback draw, but for the most part, their ability to feed the ball to the running back, just get a few, we kind of shut that down and made them pretty one-dimensional. Their quarterback did a really good job running the ball and throwing the ball, but our run defense there did a really good job. Like I said, led by Braylon and CJ. They just kind of took ownership of the inside.
Things don't get any easier. Now you've got Palos Verdes, who consistently sets up a gauntlet of a schedule to prepare themselves for games like this. What's one of the things about Palos Verdes that on film scares you?
Well, I think the first thing that jumps out to you is that they got one of the top quarterbacks in the country at quarterback. He doesn't make mistakes. He makes great plays to convert. Last year, he had us falling all over ourselves to stop him, and we didn't. Very few have stopped him. So, they're just so impressive. You can just tell the gauntlet last season through the state championship has brought them really close together as a team. You just tell that there's much more of a brotherhood on that team. And you can tell those linemen take a lot of pride in, blocking for their quarterback, and their defense plays with 11 men to the ball, a lot of pursuit, a lot of teamwork. You can just tell it's a team that really cares about one another.
We talked last week about the kind of hurdles that you have to go through in order to make something like SoFi happen. How much work would you say you've put into making sure that this experience is enjoyed not only by you, but by your players and by their families and by the fans that are coming out to support?
Yeah, so we've gone through some really significant hurdles because the company that puts this game on is pretty tight-fisted as far as giving away tickets and complimentary tickets. Coaches and our coaches' families will have to pay. We'll have to pay for parking. Our support staff will have to pay for parking. We've just gone out of our way to gather some tickets on our own with some help from our interim principal, to be able to help families, go to the game because, we're a Title I school. And what that means is we have a significantly high population of students that live below the poverty line. And when tickets are for students, $28, $29, and for adults, the cheapest tickets are $41. That's kind of where your challenges start, and that's kind of where your focus and attention starts. It's just been challenging on that note, let alone that the game's on a Thursday, and let alone the game is at 8:30 at night, and coming off of, playing the undefeated league champions last week to now playing the state champion it's a significant challenge for our kids to and our staff to, stay focused. But, we're determined to accept the challenge and fight through it.
All that aside, how excited are you to see your squad play at SoFi Stadium at what they call the Palace in Inglewood?
Well, a little selfishly, I'm like a diehard Rams fan since 1985. So to walk on that field for me is going to be pretty exciting. And, our kids have kind of taken things all in stride. I think that the kids would be, super excited, but they're excited. But we're more excited for the opportunity to play, the defending state champions. And a chance to, looks like they're in a good spot in league place. The stadium, I just talked to the team about it today. The stadium is exciting, but there are a lot of things before we get to talking about the stadium. This is a marquee game in Southern California. And, we're excited to be a part of it. You roll the ball out there and see what happens against one of the top quarterbacks in the country.
Jason Miller, Leuzinger High. Coach, we're going to wrap with rapid fire. Top 3 all-time favorite football players.
My top 3 all-time favorite football players?
Yes, sir.
Number 1 is Aaron Donald. I would just watch a game to I would watch a Rams game and just completely focus on him. Jackie Slater, the old Rams lineman, one of my all-time favorites. And third all-time favorite, probably Eric Dickerson.
Would it be safe to assume that your least favorite NFL franchise is the 49ers?
Somewhere between them and Dallas, but yeah, I ended up, when I lived in the Bay, it made me hate the 49ers more. So, as a Rams fan, it's funny, we didn't grow up so much hating the 49ers. We actually respected the type of program they ran because ours was so dysfunctional. It was kind of money wasn't an object and, guys were happy to play there. And we had kind of the opposite here with the Rams. So I didn't super hate them. Actually, probably the Raiders are the ones I hate because their fans annoy me.
Let's go with your top football movies.
Top football movie, Remember the Titans. I just as a history teacher and a social justice type teacher, I just really enjoy the lessons taught in there. Also like the program. The program is a bit corny, but I always enjoy it because the kids really like the program too. So those are probably my top 2 favorite.
If I
had to add a sports movie, it'd be Major League. Just because me and my brother, we just get such a kick out of it.
It is Major League is great. The program is probably one of my top 2 football movies, mostly because Omar Epps is carrying the football around the campus like a loaf of bread.
Right. Yes, so many things. They just try to address so many college football issues in one movie. It's unbelievably corny, but it's cool.
All right, Coach. A movie is being made about your life. Who plays Jason Miller?
I don't know if this makes me a narcissist or, a little too caught up in myself, but I already thought about it. The person that would play me in a movie would be Omar Gooding, brother Cuba Gooding. He's played in some support roles. He played the best friend in Baby Boy, and he used to be all over Nickelodeon. I always said that he'd probably play me in a movie.
Not narcissistic at all. It's how you view yourself, and I love it. All right, last one. Your go-to South Bay eatery and your favorite dish there.
I've got so many. Since I moved over here. Next to the stadium, I'm probably going to go ahead there tonight. There's a place called Flamin' Pasta in the Inglewood, Westchester area. It's kind of like a Chipotle, but for pasta. Really love it. I also like Wings and Pots. It's down here in the hood over here and off of Manchester and Vermont. It puts Wingstop to shame. So I've got many. I'm a foodie, so I'm always trying a new place.
There we go. If I need an advice from you, I know where to go.
Definitely.